During the Cenozoic, mammals finally inherited the throne left behind by the dinosaurs. But do you think Earth was going to let them sit comfortably on that throne? Of course not. Earth has never been a gentle director. It had only just pushed the little survivors onto the stage, when suddenly, it switched the entire planet into Ice Age mode. Temperatures began to fall. Glaciers slowly expanded from the polar regions. Forests retreated. Open grassland spread across the continents, and freezing winds cut through the land like blades. Earth was no longer asking whether you could become a ruler. It was asking a much simpler question. Could you survive the cold? This was the Ice Age, a brutal new upgrade level built for mammals. In this world, survival worked differently from the age of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs had ruled the warm Mesozoic with enormous bodies, powerful jaws, horns, armor, and tail clubs. But during the Ice Age, Earth changed the exam. Being strong was no longer enough. You also had to endure extreme cold. You had to migrate across enormous distances. You had to find food on poor, frozen grasslands. And you had to survive the long nights inside violent snowstorms. So Earth began reshaping mammals. Some grew thick coats of fur. Some became enormous. Some developed long, curved tusks. Some evolved powerful, heavy limbs. And some began migrating in massive herds. If the Jurassic was when Earth upgraded dinosaurs into giants, then the Ice Age was when Earth turned mammals into giant beasts. And then the mammoths arrived. They were not simply oversized elephants. They were moving fortresses of the frozen plains. Their bodies were covered in thick, shaggy fur. Their enormous curved tusks stretched forward, and every step they took left a deep mark in the frozen ground. When a herd of mammoths crossed the tundra, it did not look like an ordinary animal migration. It looked more like an ancient army covered in fur, slowly advancing through the freezing wind. They used their tusks to clear away snow and uncover grass and tundra plants beneath it. They protected their young by surrounding them. Their thick coats helped resist the cold, and their enormous bodies helped preserve heat in that frozen world. Mammoths were not gentle giants. They were the moving walls of the Ice Age. But Earth never creates only prey. Where there are giants, hunters will follow. And then came the saber-toothed cats. They did not have bodies as enormous as Tyrannosaurus rex. They did not have the giant jaws of the dinosaurs, but they carried one extremely exaggerated weapon, two canine teeth shaped like daggers. Those teeth were not designed for casually crushing anything that entered the mouth. They were more like specialized blades built to strike vulnerable parts of the body on the grasslands and forest edges of the Ice Age. Saber-toothed cats did not win by biting wildly. They had to move close, explode forward, overpower the prey, and deliver a fatal attack in the shortest possible time. It was as if Earth had specifically designed them to become close-range assassins. Lower the body, stay close to the ground, wait for the right moment, and then suddenly attack. This was not the dinosaur age, where enormous monsters often collided directly. This was a new hunting style for the age of mammals. Quieter, more precise, and sometimes even more dangerous. But mammoths and saber-toothed cats were not the only giants of this world. Giant ground sloths also walked across the Cenozoic stage. When you hear the word sloth, you might imagine a small animal slowly hanging from a tree. But the prehistoric giant ground sloth was nothing like that. It was more like an ancient construction vehicle covered in fur, with powerful front limbs and enormous claws. It could pull down vegetation, push through bushes, and tear branches from trees. When it stood upright, it could tower over many animals alive today. It did not need to run very fast. Its body alone was already a moving mass of enormous weight. And there were others: woolly rhinoceroses covered in thick hair, massive bison, powerful cave lions, and herds of horses running across frozen grasslands. The entire Ice Age was like another arena Earth had built for mammals. There were no dinosaurs here, but that did not make the world safe. Cold could kill you, hunger could kill you, a snowstorm could kill you, a failed migration could kill you, and predators could kill you too. The rule of this age was simple: adapt to the cold or disappear from the map. But among all these giants, another far less impressive creature was slowly beginning to change the rules of the game. Human ancestors. Early humans were not the strongest animals of the Ice Age. We did not have the body of a mammoth. We did not have the fangs of a saber-toothed cat. We did not have the claws of a giant ground sloth. And we did not have the strength of a cave lion. Place a single human on the frozen grasslands of the Ice Age, and they would look almost helpless. When the wind blew, they became cold. When a predator approached, they became afraid. And when the prey was much larger than they were, they could not simply defeat it with physical strength. But humans possessed another kind of weapon. Not teeth, not horns, not armor, but brains, hands, fire, tools, and cooperation. While mammoths used their bodies to endure the cold, humans learned to wear animal skins. While saber-toothed cats hunted with fangs, humans began shaping stone into weapons. While other animals depended mostly on instinct, humans began remembering routes, building traps, hunting as groups, dividing tasks, and passing experience from one generation to the next. This was the most dangerous turning point of the Ice Age. Earth had turned mammals into giant beasts, but the creature that would eventually change the world was not the largest one. It was the one that could think. Fire appeared in the frozen night. Cave walls gained paintings. Hunters gathered together. Spears were sharpened. Animal hides were wrapped around bodies. Stories began to be remembered. Experience began to be passed to the next generation. From that moment on, the Ice Age was no longer only the age of giants. It also became the final great test before humans stepped into the center of the stage. But the ending of the Ice Age was not gentle. The climate began to change. Glacier retreated. Forests expanded. Open grasslands became smaller. And the world that many giant mammals depended on slowly began to disappear. Mammoths needed wide, cold grasslands. Saber-toothed cats needed enough large prey. Giant ground sloths needed the right plants and enough space for their enormous bodies. But when Earth changed the rules again, these Ice Age giants began to struggle. They had once been the strongest creatures of the frozen world, but when the cold retreated, their greatest advantages could become burdens. Thick fur was not always useful anymore. Large bodies required enormous amounts of food. Highly specialized hunting methods depended on stable populations of large prey. The Ice Age giants did not disappear because they were weak. Quite the opposite. They had once been incredibly powerful, but they were perfectly designed for a world of cold. And when Earth turned the temperature back up, that world disappeared. So the giants that once shook the frozen plains began leaving the stage, one after another. The footsteps of mammoths faded into the distance. The fangs of saber-toothed cats no longer flashed in the grass. The giant ground sloth vanished from the edges of the forest, and the giant dynasty of the Ice Age slowly became fossils and legends. But humans remained, not because humans were the largest, not because humans were the strongest, but because humans were exceptionally good at changing how they lived. When it became cold, they wore animal skins. Without sharp teeth, they made stone tools. When they could not outrun prey, they learned to cooperate. When the environment changed, they migrated. They learned. They changed their tools. They changed their strategies. This was the answer the Ice Age left behind. The most dangerous form of life is not always the largest. It is the one that can change itself the fastest after the rules of the world have changed. During the dinosaur age, Earth proved that size could rule the world. During the Cenozoic, Earth proved that small survivors could reach the throne. And during the Ice Age, Earth revealed another answer. Adaptation is closer to immortality than strength. As glacier-covered continents, giants moved through the freezing wind, and humans sat beside fire, looking up into the darkness. They did not yet know that their descendants would become the species most capable of rewriting the rules of this planet. The Ice Age was not simply a story about cold. It was a selection process, a test of giants, freezing temperatures, fire, and intelligence. Earth turned mammals into giant beasts, and then, inside the snow and wind, it quietly selected the next true rule changer. That rule changer was not the mammoth. It was not the saber-toothed cat. It was not any giant of the frozen plains. It was the small human sitting beside a fire on a freezing night.